Hello, everyone. I'd like to share a few thoughts about my recent article titled, Yes, Tim Scott is a Black man, but he is still promoting Christian nationalism. It was published on May 25th, 2023 by Baptist News Global. So we have a presidential race heating up, and right now we're in the primary season, and Donald Trump is leading the polls for the GOP nomination. And right there, one of the other top tier candidate, even though he's polling well behind Trump, is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and then below them on the second tier of candidates would be Nikki Haley, and then if if Mike Pence were to declare himself, he would be right there around the Nikki Haley level. And then below them, there's this host of long shots. And including of those long shots is the subject of this article, Tim Scott. And so you may wonder, well, then if he's such a long shot, then why would I want to write an article about him? And I think the reason why is because he represents an interesting twist in the narrative that a lot of people are struggling through, particularly when it comes to Republican and conservative politics. So one of the themes since 2016 has been people processing the cruelty of Donald Trump. And even conservatives admit this, that he's very cruel in the way that he handles people and the way that he talks about people. And so a lot of people feel bad about that, and they kind of justify it, or they just ignore it. And this has long been a tension in conservative politics. You might remember in 2000 and 2004, George W. Bush would talk about compassionate conservatism. And I remember Rush Limbaugh, who I listened to at the time, used to say, well, there's no such thing as compassionate conservatism because conservatism is compassionate. And but with Trump, it's really gotten a bit more in your face, the cruelty. And so a lot of people are asking, because he has resonated so much with conservatives, a lot of people are asking, is it possible to be elected as a kind conservative? And Tim Scott believes that it is. He says that he wants to run an optimistic, positive message anchored in conservatism. And he talks a lot about believing in common sense in the way that he approaches things. But when you examine his message, he repeats a lot of common narratives that white supremacists use against Black people, to belittle Black people. And it's ironic because he is a Black man, and he points that out in a lot of his speeches about how I'm a Black man. He names that, and all of the crowd is like cheering on and everything. Like, yeah, we're here to listen to a Black man, talk about politics and his vision. And so we're not racist. And it's ironic because they're not used to listening to Black leaders and speakers. But when you examine his message, despite that, he's repeating a lot of these lines that white supremacists use. And so the people who follow him can continue to promote white supremacist stereotypes of Black people while thinking that they aren't being racist. And then additionally, Scott says that he doesn't want to weaponize the law against his enemies, which is touching on a concern that a lot of people have with Christian nationalists. But then again, at the same time, he says that we need to honor the Creator, and that the government is supposed to bow the knee to the church. And so we're left with these questions. What does that mean? What does it mean to honor the Creator and that the government is to bow the knee to the church? How does that affect your policies? How are white supremacists and Christian supremacists advancing their agenda through people like Tim Scott, even if we were to move on from Donald Trump? And so those are some of the questions I think we need to ask, and they're questions that I wrestle through in my latest article.